Yo, OmniDogs and OmniKittens. It's OmniDog with his co-host from Comics Guide 101, Lou. Lou, how's it going, buddy?
What's up, man?
And we've already got in the chat two of the finest chatters, Jesse Say What and ETL. Thank you, guys. I really appreciate your being in here.
Mm-hmm.
I appreciate you guys. You just jump from one chat to another. I appreciate it. Oh, there's Psycho Cleveland and Make Havoc. Hey, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks for jumping in.
ETL, man, he's a dedicated fan.
He is. He
He's in every
is.
stream, I think.
Yeah. And Make Havoc's a good one. There's Babylon Shadows. I got to the other show late, but I'm here for this one since the start. Well, thank you, Tim Klein. That's very nice of you. I appreciate that. There's Duck Collector. What a day it is, indeed, Duck Collector. What are we talking about, Psycho Cleveland? We're gonna be doing book reviews, and yeah, we just I didn't get a chance to do my book review yesterday with Kristen because she was swamped at work and just couldn't do it. And Lou was kind enough to step in and pinch hit for her. And I thought it would be a good idea to get Lou's perspective because he reads different books than I do, different books than Kristen does, and it's always good to get different. That's why I like doing these live review shows because when I did them just by myself, you just got my perspective. And I always like getting Kristen's perspective because she reads such a different type of book than I do. But she loves, superhero stuff too. And she is queen of the independent books. But and Lou, you like a certain type of book too. But I figure it'd be what's that?
Most of them probably pretty trashy.
Double the OmniDog on a Sunday. You spoil us. Thank you, Dirty Hot Dog Waterfall.
I love that name. I've never seen that name before.
Oh, you haven't seen Dirty Hot Dog Waterfall?
No, that's a great name, though.
Yeah. Here, I'll put that one up.
Bravo, sir. That is a good name. Dirty Hot Dog. I don't know why that tickles me pink. Oh, man.
Yeah, that's a good one. Yeah, we're talking about you guys should bother Omar so he makes. Wait, I just lost that. Where'd that go? Oh, here it is. You guys should bother Omar so he makes a review on Velveteen and Mandala. He tried to hide the fact he has it on his collection video.
What is that?
Well, I don't know what that is. I know the Velveteen Rabbit. I mean, we read that to my daughter when she was like 7 or something.
I've never heard of that.
I haven't either. What Babylon Shadows? What is that?
Is this something dirty? It's probably something dirty.
Velveteen and Mandala.
It is on Omar's shelf. It might be something dirty.
Well, I think he kind of keeps that. Oh, whoops. Okay.
He keeps the dirty stuff like hidden.
Yeah, I think he keeps the dirty stuff hidden.
As you should.
Oh, here it is. The fact that you guys don't know about it makes it perfect. It's a really weird comic. I have. I see that Cycle Cleveland is talking about Bad Weekend, which I really actually liked. I'm not keeping up with the criminal in its magazine format. I really like Bad Weekend, and I really liked My Heroes Have Always Been Junkies. I thought both those books were really good.
I still need to read that.
I think they're both really good. I really
It's
enjoyed them. They're
it's, it's about rehab, right? My heroes have always been junkies.
Yeah, that's more of a criminal type book. Um, but then Bad Weekend is about. I mean, he drops so many names of comic book creators. Um, it's about a. Have we not talked about Bad Weekend?
No, no, no,
Uh,
no. I don't think we have.
it's about uh, an older comic book creator, illustrator, artist. He's a made up guy. Uh, let me grab it really quick.
I don't think we have. Wow, Cycle Cleveland. That's a name I haven't seen in a while.
Yeah.
Hope
Um,
you're. Yeah. Last thing that I heard from him was that he got hit by a car while he
oh,
was
that was
riding.
a long time ago.
Yeah, that was. I think that was the last thing I heard about him. Though.
Oh, Babylon Shadows. That's awful. I don't even want to put that up. Can you read that, Lou?
Where is it? I'm
Uh,
gonna hold up the chat.
are you looking in the chat? I can't
Yeah,
put it up. It's awful. What that comic book's about that Omar has.
Babylon Shadows. Let's see. The Champions
Yeah,
Cup.
he gives us a hint about what it's about.
Whoa! Yeah, no, I'm good.
No,
Why?
okay, that's
Why would you
awful.
do that? Why would you have that?
Oh my gosh, that's awful.
That is just terrible.
um, but Bad Weekend, it's I read this a while ago. I think I did a review with Kristen, um, and it's let's see, what's the name of the guy? Hal Crane. He's a made up name, but let me isolate on the art. But they bring in he's uh, like a Silver Age famous name, and so they bring in all these famous names like Stan Lee and all these other names that you'll recognize. It's really cool, and
Huh.
he's apparently a real handful of a guy. He's famously bad tempered, never shows up where he's supposed to at a comic book convention, and he's in town to pick up an award for a lifetime achievement award at this big Comic Con, and so they assign him one of his old assistants to kind of make sure he shows up on time.
Mm-hmm.
And meanwhile, there's this subplot of he's trying to find these old drawings of his. And he's been through three wives and countless assistants. He's got a bad reputation. He's got a bad uh, relationship with his daughter.
Hmm.
He's got to find the subplot is he's trying like heck to find um, these missing pages that of his. There's some kind of importance to these missing pages, but it's
Cool.
really cool because it name drops all these old creators that you're familiar with, like
Ooh.
all these really cool old creators um, that all about, um, and so it's not really a criminal story because it's more of a comic book story, but then it's got an ending that's straight out of a criminal Ed Brubaker book that is an
Ooh.
awesome ending. And it's a skinny book. It's a backup feature, I guess, in criminals um, I don't know, magazine 2 and 3, maybe it's a backup feature, but it's got great art by Sean Phillips, and it's a great book by. I think it's really good. It
Yeah,
doesn't look like Bad Weekend is Criminal issues 2 and 3.
huh.
Okay, I
But
think.
I mean, it's Sean Phillips. You can never go wrong with Sean Phillips. The guy is, yeah, it's just yeah.
Yeah, they reference Julius Schwartz, Cycle Cleveland says, and Wally Wood. Oh, it's not a backup feature. It's issues 2 and 3 plus extra pages. Okay. So it
How
is. Okay.
how good is Sean Phillips and Ed Brubaker when they team? Like they've been teaming up for years, but it's oh man.
Yeah. And, another thing, I like the colors. The colors by
Yeah.
Jacob Phillips in this book. Just the colors kind of just dance on these pages. Um, they're, they're really nice. They're subtle, and of course he finally does get him to this big fancy awards dinner. It's like at San Diego, where he's supposed to be, and
Mhm.
to this lifetime achievement award. And he got screwed over in some. Of course, he got screwed over in some kind of deal uh, where he helped create some kind of look at the colors here, where he helped create some kind of thing that made a lot of money for somebody else, but not him. And so he carries a grudge and he's swearing and has a gun and all this other stuff. And he's whacked out of his skull. And I don't know. I just had a blast with this book.
So is he like the Axl Rose of the comic book industry? Does that sound about right?
Yeah. Yeah, he does. Yeah. Axel Rose.
Man, it wasn't rare for you to go to a Guns N' Roses show in the '90s, and you'd go and oh yeah, Axel's not here. I guess there's no show tonight. You'd wait for 2 hours and they'd never show up.
Yeah. Whoops. Let me get you back in there we go. So yeah, I didn't wasn't going to have this be part of the review, but but I noticed that Cycle Cleveland read it, and so I enjoyed it, and I read My Heroes Have Always Been Junkies, and that I thought was wonderful. Um, but I
That's a
will.
yeah.
What's that?
I was gonna say that's a good analogy, Cycle Cleveland. Brubaker and Phillips are the Scorsese and De Niro of comics. Yeah, I would say something like that. Yeah,
Let's put that up. Let's see.
that's a very good analogy.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Junkies was better than Bad Weekend. Junkies was really well done. Junkies was really, really well done.
As somebody that had a father who was kind of in and out of rehab and Alcoholics Anonymous, would I relate to junkies really well? Because I know that it's about rehab, right?
Um, um, let's see. It's it is about rehab, yeah, and it's about um, this girl who goes into rehab, and it's about her mom who's in. Let me think. She remembers. She really romanticizes her mom's addiction and the meetings that her mom goes to, and the albums she listens to are all like drug addicts, um,
Hmm.
musicians, and things. And it's got twists and turns that are really good. It ties into the criminal universe a little bit, but you don't have to know. Um, you don't have to have read Criminal to get um, what's going on in the book at all.
Okay.
You can
Okay.
read it cold and be fine.
Yeah, I mean, now that you pointed out, like all my favorite musicians, thinking about it, they're all they were junkies. Like you get your Kurt Cobains, your guys that were they, you know, I'm We joke about it all the time, but Sweet Christmas, I'm surprised Mick Jagger's still around and kicking.
Well, I don't know how Keith Richards is still around. When you read any kind of story about him,
Oh my gosh, man. It's crazy. I'm pretty sure they kind of just wheel him out onto the stage most days because it's insane, man.
oh,
It's
I
really,
know.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I think Jagger is actually fairly clean and sober, but I think Keith Richards is the one I think that just had just like this appetite for this huge Herculean appetite for drugs and alcohol that somehow his body tolerated. And I don't know, he's one of those guys that, you just couldn't keep up with, and somehow he lived through it. I don't know how he survived, but
Yeah.
um,
I mean, you hear stories of like Hendrix when he was in his prime, he would dump his headband in LSD before he went on stage.
oh
So when he sweat, it would get into him, and it's oh man,
wow,
yeah, crazy
that's
stuff.
wild.
Yeah, crazy stuff, man.
Um, that is crazy. But yeah, you would totally dig. My heroes have always been junkies. It's well researched as an alcoholic myself, and I know meetings. I don't
Mm-hmm.
know rehab because I didn't go to rehab, but I've heard enough about it that it sounds right. I haven't been to rehab, so I don't know, but it sounds right, and that's just sort of a platform to push the story forward.
I'll check it out.
Um, um, it's um, it's just so the two protagonists can meet, and just move it forward. But the picture that Brubaker paints of the meetings, and it sounds like, um, I don't think they had NA meetings back then
Mm-hmm.
when the girl was little. So it sounds like they went to AA meetings. Junkies did. Um, so that's my best guess.
Okay.
Um, but his portrayal of meetings is spot on, and his portrayal of alcoholics and junkies is spot on. So I don't know. He either lived his research or he did his research really well
Hmm.
from my perspective. So
I'll have to check that out.
yeah, it's really well done.
All right. Well, I'll definitely be adding that to my list for this week, and I'll sit down with it whenever.
Yeah. So the first thing I will review is the last thing I read. I finished it up this morning when my dog woke me up at 6 a.m. and that is the two books. Now these come from the Kyle pile. My friend Kyle sent me a ton of books, and I needed to get around to read them. I will highlight myself just so I can show some of the art real quick. Red Team. Um, the first one is just called Red Team by Garth Ennis, with art by Craig Cermak. So they did the same one, Double Tap Center Mass, which is actually considerably thicker. And the Red Team is basically a team of cops take the law into their own hands, and they start killing guys that have gotten away with crimes that
Cool.
they should have been convicted of and been sent away to Old Stony Lonesome for a long time, and they've gotten away with it. So it shows it's not just like, cops decide, they go kill, that's it. It shows the moral dilemmas they go through. Um, it shows how hard it is to actually, excuse me, I'm getting a little dry. It shows how hard it actually is to do something like this. It shows Garth Ennis. We know he writes a good war book,
Right.
but he really writes a really good, especially the second book. This first book establishes the team, three guys and a woman, and part of the deal with the woman is she's extremely attractive. That plays into part of the story. Um, but they're called the Red Team because they go out and they sanction these criminals that have gotten away with it. These are uh, and it shows how they get away with it and stuff. And Garth Ennis is with these books is now becoming one of with these two books. Now he has a long way to go before he's going to become, you know, Greg Rucka, Ed Brubaker, Brian Michael Bendis to me, because those are my top three crime fiction guys. But these are solid books. These two books are really, really solid police procedurals. And the artwork is really, really solid. And so this establishes the team.
And it's just
And
2 volumes, right? There's only 2 volumes.
so far, yeah, as far as I know, yeah, there's only 2 volumes because this pretty much, yeah, there's only 2 volumes. This takes one story and it's very thick. It's a very thick double tap center mass, and this gets, now I got to be careful what I show here because this gets really raw, really serious. This deals with a very spoiled white rich kid that ends up dealing heroin that he gets from some African American gentleman in some parts of town that have not been gentrified yet.
Okay.
So, and the dialogue that Ennis writes, to me, it sounds really authentic,
Right.
on both sides, and he keeps it up. There's a now, as I said, I got to be careful here because it gets really raw in this book, and the dialogue sounds really authentic to me. The action sounds really authentic. It's nonstop, moving fast. There's interaction between the cops that sounds real. The interaction between the cops and their loved ones. The interaction between the cops and the other cops in the precinct. And the story that unfolds. It's so much more than just this spoiled kid buying heroin from these drug dealers, and these drug dealers are so much smarter than this kid that you as the story unfolds and as it unwinds, you're like, wow, it's got a lot of layers to it, and it's really I think really remarkable. I loved both of these books and I could not stop turning the pages. So I highly recommend Garth Ennis, both the Red Team books, and Kyle sent me both of these, and I really dug them a lot.
So with Ennis, I love Ennis. His writing tends to get a little childish sometimes in terms of joking and things like that. Is there really any of that in here?
I didn't find it childish at all. I found it to be really realistic. I know what you mean. You know, like the Boys type of childish.
Right. Like I love Ennis. Like Preacher's my favorite comic of all time. But
Yeah.
Ennis does have a tendency to kind of go childish with jokes and stuff like that sometimes. And it's hit and miss. Sometimes it hits, sometimes it really misses.
Yeah. No. No. it I thought it was spot on. I was really impressed with the level of detail and how remarkable I thought the dialogue was. It seemed really, really realistic,
Okay.
and but it didn't seem to pander to tropes or anything. It didn't seem to, it didn't use the N word just to use the N word. It
All right.
used it.
Yeah.
It was like, it wasn't like Django Unchained, you know,
Yeah.
where it was used a billion times just to use it, but it was used in the appropriate place where it seemed like the guys would be using it in that particular way.
Mm-hmm.
The dialogue seemed authentic, and um, so yeah, no, there were no real jokes. It seemed like the way cops would be talking to each other,
Mm.
and the way that gang members would be talking to each other. So I it was a real page turner. I if he continues to write crime stuff, I am all the way in with him.
You're invested in it.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, this. I don't know what's Ennis even doing these days. I mean, he's probably busy with his TV stuff, right? I would imagine.
I You got me. I don't know.
I don't think he's written. I mean, he's writes. Ennis is sporadic lately with his writing, though. He'll write like a 6-issue Punisher story, and then I think fall off the face of the earth for a few months.
Yeah, these books were written in 2017, 2016.
Okay.
So I don't know.
Oh, so there is something else. Cycle Cleveland says a walk through hell.
Oh yeah, I read A Walk Through Hell, and did a review for it maybe 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, he's also doing the TKO books, or he was
Yeah,
under.
he did Sarah. Um, I read A Walk Through Hell, and I reviewed it, I think, with Kristen. The only problem with that was it's a super huge cliffhanger, and um, I don't know when the next one's coming out. It was
Oh,
awesome though. Yeah, it was. Yeah, Walk Through Hell's really, really good. Oh, there's old Tyler Blunt. I was just
yeah.
texting with him. Oh, it's done now in singles. Uh, Walk Through Hell is.
All right, I'm gonna
Ooh,
have to check
we
that
really
out.
stuck the landing. Now that's a book that I may just go ahead and get on Comixology because
Ooh,
it was really good. It
is
was
it?
it's all about the supernatural, and
Yeah,
oh my gosh, it was so good.
Supernatural's my bag.
Yeah, and it was all about cops and the supernatural, and oh my gosh, that was another one that Kyle sent me, and it was great. It was really great.
Supernatural stuff is my bag, man.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, yeah.
I'm gonna have to check that out. That's Aftershock, right? I'm looking at it right now. Ooh, I
Mhm.
might have to pick this up. Okay.
Yeah, and if it's finished in singles, as Cycle says, then you might as well just read the whole thing. And that's something that I want to read now to finish up too.
It's 12 issues. All right, I could do that.
Oh, okay. October 9th, trade paperback for A Walk Through Hell, Volume 2. Okay. I can wait for October. It's already August. October 9th is like right around the corner now.
Isn't it crazy? Jesus.
Yeah. So, what have you read recently?
Well, I have been reading actually quite a few things. I've been reading the new Miss Marvel by Saladin Ahmed. I believe that is.
Oh,
Yeah, I was a huge fan of the G. Willow Wilson run
yeah.
until Marvel decided to relaunch every single book like every other week, and then it just got way too keep up with everything. It got really bad, man. I read all of that stuff up to the whole Secret Wars thing, and then I kind of fell off. But Saladin Ahmed, he's an up and coming writer. He did the Black Bolt series that was really popular. I know Gio loves it. I was kind of so on it when I read it. It's a solid read. I mean, I don't think it's as good as G. Willow Wilson's run, And I mean, it's kind of hard to top Wilson's run because she created the character. But overall, it's really good. It centers around Kamala. She's kind of just starting to get her life back together. She's accepting the fact that she's a superhero, and her parents, they're aware now that she is a hero as well, and they're trying to figure that out as well. When she's approached by these aliens who they tell her, "Hey, you are the savior of our planet. You've been prophesized for thousands of years, da 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 da, that you have to come to our planet and you have to save it." As you can imagine, you can kind of see where the story beats are going to go. Not everything is what it seems. Da, 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 da. But it's fun. It's a fun read so far. There's 5 issues out. I've read all 5 issues. I like the new costume design that they gave her. I think it's really good. And what I really like about it is the interaction between Kamala and her family. There's an inner monologue in every single issue, and it plays from different perspectives of the people around Kamala. You've got one issue that's her mother, one issue that's her father, one issue that's her best friend. And I think that's the strongest part of it because you really get a sense of who her parents are, that her parents are not these parents that they're just being mean or they're being super strict for the sake of it. It's no, we genuinely really care about our daughter and we want to protect them from everything that's out there in the world. But they're coming to the realization that we can't really hold her back and we can't just completely stop her from being who she is, which is a hero. Um, and that's really, I think, the strongest aspect is the family dynamic stuff. We'll see where it goes from here, but I'm stuck on it. Like I said, it's not as strong as the Wilson stuff.
Mm.
I think Solid in the Mid so far is he's a good writer. I don't know too much of his background, but I think he's going to be one of those writers that a few years down the road, once he gets like an Al Ewing, where once he gets that right project, that perfect project for him, he's really going to come into his own. Kind of like Ewing is right now with his Hulk run. But I'm excited to see where it goes, and I'm sticking with it for right now.
You you're raving about Al Ewing's Hulk run, right?
Yeah. Yes. I think it's the best thing that's being published at Marvel right now. I really do. It's so damn good. You've read the first collection, right?
I read the first collection. I'm eagerly awaiting the first oversized hardcover. I know you have been really singing the praises of that book, Immortal Hulk.
Yeah, it's the thing with Immortal Hulk is that it's look, I will admit I'm not the biggest Hulk fan. Like I've read a few things here and there, the Planet Hulks, and I read a little bit of the Jeff Loeb Red Hulk stuff because that was really popular at the time. You remember when those were coming out? Everybody's like,
Yeah,
"Oh, God, who is the Red Hulk?" Everybody
right.
figured it out, and the first issue was sold out, and it was just all over the place. Um, but Ewing is really doing his best work here. He's creating basically his own new mythos with the Hulk, and he's pulling stuff from different places, and he's really taking a more horror. I always have trouble saying that
Yeah,
horror tilt to it, um, and I think that's my favorite aspect of the Hulk, where people are genuinely afraid of the Hulk. Like, okay, lovey-dovey superhero Hulk in the Adventures is fun and everything, but I like a good, like, scary Hulk story. That's my bag.
hmm
Which that's probably one of the reasons why I like the Ultimates so much is when Hulk flips his shit in the Ultimates, he really flips his shit in the Ultimates.
yeah. I like the Ultimate. That's the Mark Miller book.
Yeah, the
Yeah, I
Ultimate.
like that book.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, but the some of the dialogue is a little bit dated now. I mean, Iron Man, I
Yeah,
think, makes a reference to hooking up with Paris Hilton, and I'm like, oh wow, yeah, that's where we were at
Paris
this point.
Hilton.
Yeah, I'm like, that's where we were at this point in our pop culture lexicon. Uh, but I miss it, man. I wish Mark Millar would come back and do some more Ultimate stuff with Brian Hitch because that was, for me, that was him and Brian. It was Hitch, right? I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
When Millar and Hitch were working on the Ultimates, that was when that book was the best for me. It was so good.
yeah. I loved that book. That was one of the first Marvel things I read when I started getting into Marvel. Speaking of Mark Millar, I'm gonna read this book now that you
Oh
told me
no,
how bad it is.
no, don't,
I
don't,
just discovered it. I was
don't.
cataloging books on my app that I'm gonna catalog all my books now, and you
That's
told me how
getting,
bad it
yeah,
was.
that's getting a root beer bath. Like I guarantee you, it's so terrible. It's so horrible.
Oh my gosh, I can't wait to read it now. It's that bad,
You can do so much better, Jess.
huh? I probably shouldn't even bother.
You
But
shouldn't. You really shouldn't.
should I just donate it to the library and not even
I
bother?
I wouldn't
Gosh,
even
the
donate
art
that.
is so great in it, though.
I wouldn't even donate that to the library. I'd just throw it in the backyard.
Just
Yeah.
bury it.
Bury it in the backyard. You can get better use out of it. Using it as compost than actually reading it.
Yeah, that's pretty much everybody's reaction to that book, Nemesis,
So
Millar's
terrible.
Nemesis. That's apparently pretty awful. Um, let's see. The next book that I read was another twofer from Kyle, and it's by Jay Ferber, Fer, Farber. Uh,
Berber.
let's see. I'll highlight me real quick. It's called Near Death. It's just 2 volumes, but he's the one that wrote Copperhead, and I
Ooh.
loved Copperhead. Um,
Okay.
and yeah, I loved Copperhead. Let me get volume 1 and 2. Now he was an assassin. He has a near-death experience. Um, he was a hitman. He has a near-death experience. He comes back from it and decides that he's going to turn over a new leaf, and he's going to start saving people. And he's not only is he going to save people, but he's going to take out bad guys.
Hmm.
And um, let me get some artwork. The art's good. Actually, it looks kind of like Sean Phillips there a little bit, but
Ooh, that does look like Sean Phillips.
yeah. Um, so he's not going to take out. Oh yeah, no, he doesn't take out bad guys. He will plant like fake evidence. Uh, he'll plant fake evidence that gets bad guys arrested and taken away out of the neighborhood. Like here, this pedophile moves into a neighborhood, and he got time off for good behavior, and the people that this guy's lives he affected when he got put in prison. He didn't get sentenced very long, and they felt like justice wasn't served, and so they went to this hitman turned good guy, and so he broke into the guy's house. I'm spoiling it just to show you what sort of thing he does. He uh, he hid child pornography in the guy's house.
Wow.
Uh, did a anonymous phone call. Cops show up. They arrest the guy, and he goes to jail for the rest of his life. And so that's the way he's getting even now. So he instead of killing all these, we're shown his previous life, killing all these witness protection guys and stuff like that. Now he's figuring out how to save people, and he's a wanted man, but he ends up saving so many people. The police chief that's after him doesn't know what to do with him because he's saving so many people that she doesn't, she doesn't know what to do with him now. And it's actually really fun. I really enjoyed this book. I thought the artwork was solid, and it's 2 volumes, and volume 2 is even thicker. Um, and the methods that he uses to set up the bad guys and put away the bad guys now that he's changed his life. Um, I I thought were really creative and really fun, and I highly recommend Near Death. I remember I back when I was collecting floppies, this was on my pull list, and I never, of course, got a chance to read it because I ended up selling my floppies uh, like back in 2014 when I decided to go all collected edition. But I remember the guys at Third Eye Comics, Steve in particular, was really high on this comic, and he loved it a lot. So Near Death, I think I highly recommend to everybody out there, volumes 1 and 2. That is from my friend Kyle. I highly recommend that book.
Cool.
Yeah, it's really good.
That's a good solid pick. Dude, man, you're making it really difficult for me to stay on budget right now. Like I go back to work tomorrow, and I know I go back to work tomorrow. I hate saying that, but
I'm
um,
sorry.
I know.
It's August 9th tomorrow or August 5th?
August 5th tomorrow,
And
and
you
like
already have to go back to work?
I have to go back to work, man. We only get teachers only get 2 months off, so but I've made it like my own personal thing, like a promise to myself because I know I'm stuck in a cycle of this mess. That this year will be my last year doing this. I'll figure out something, and I've even told my parents, I'm like, look, I might have to move in with you next year for a bit to get my feet back, but I'm not going to be doing this again and again. But you're making it really difficult for me to stay on my budget with all these great books that are coming out.
Oh, ETL says both Red Team and Near Death are on Hoopla if people have access to that.
Ooh,
I don't have Hoopla. My library doesn't carry it. That's good.
I think mine does. Hoopla is so great.
Yeah, that'd be a good way for you to get those.
I'll check it out. I'll check it out once we're down here.
Yeah. Yeah, Near Death and Red Team, both I highly recommend because I am suffering from superhero fatigue. Even though the next book I'm going to recommend is superhero-y, I'm starting to. The 55 years that I've been reading superhero books, Lou, are starting to wear me down.
Now it's finally starting to hit you. Just
Yeah, over 50 years of superheroes is beating on me.
man, let me tell you something. That was one of the things also while reading Miss Marvel where I'm like, okay, so this is the part where it gets punchy, isn't it? Okay, yeah, let's do this. And I'm just like, oh god, it's bad when like 90% of the writers I can tell where the story is gonna go from like the first 3 pages, and I'm like, yeah, I know where you're gonna go with this already.
Well, that's what I kind of like about Tom King's Batman is that it kind of goes different places that I didn't think it would go. I know you didn't like his wedding issue, but um, that's what I kind of like about his Batman is it goes unsuspecting places. So
Mm-hmm.
there, my superhero books are now down to a very small pull list. Uh, so I yeah, so I'm that's why more into like crime and
Mm-hmm.
although I have to say really late to the game. I'm starting to get into X-Men. Um,
Hickman got you.
well, no, I was starting to get into it before that, um, but I think that um, it was just a bunch of uh, trade paperbacks. Those thin little trade paper. I'm looking at my shelf now that has a bunch of X-Men trade paperbacks that have come out. And you get X-23
Mm-hmm.
Laura on a team, and that interests me um, because I like her so much as a character. And um, who else? Uh, there's some other characters that I really like. Um, So yeah, some of the teams I thought were interesting in the past 3 years. So I've got a lot of catching up to do. Um, but that's the superhero team that I'm really interested in.
Okay. 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 I don't know. Just what, I'm kind of going to that same boat as you were. I'm kind of getting tired of the capes. Like I think it might be almost time for me to put the capes aside for a bit. That's part of the reason why I like Al Ewing's Hulk so much. Because it's Hulk isn't really a traditional superhero, and Al Ewing doesn't write him like a traditional superhero.
Yeah, well, that's why I was so interested in that New Mutants movie that has tells it like a horror movie.
I don't think
That
we'll ever get that.
I know, I really want to see that because it sounds so interesting.
Yeah, it does. That's a damn shame.
I hope we're going to see it.
You want me to go next?
Yeah.
Okay. Batman: Curse of the White Knight #1 by Sean Murphy. This is his
Oh,
sequel. Yeah, this is the sequel to last year's. What was it? I think White Knight. Batman
White
White Knight.
Knight. Yeah.
One issue in, it's good. It's really good. I keep talking about capes and cows, but I really dig it a lot. If you're a fan of Sean Murphy's art, you know what you're going to get here. But Sean Murphy's really coming into his own, I think, as a writer. It centers around a huge secret coming out that only Joker knows. And it involves your favorite villain, Jess, Azrael. Azrael's in this comic. How much do you love Azrael?
I haven't read him since like 1992.
That's because he hasn't been relevant since 1992. Um, but Azrael's in this, and your one issue. The thing that gets me is we've seen Sean Murphy write, and I think he really is a writer that he's getting better as he goes. But goddamn, do I love Sean Murphy's art. I know it's not for everybody, but I just love that really scratchy, kind of pencil-y look that he gives this stuff. And the way he draws his Batman with like the huge collar and things. It's a fun read. I mean, we're only one issue in, and I'm really curious to see where it goes. Especially, did you read White Knight?
I did, yeah. Only
Okay.
once though, so I need to read it again. So
Yeah,
more of it sticks with me.
this is a really good like direct follow up to White Knight. I really dug. I don't know how you felt about what he did with Harley Quinn and White Knight. What'd you think? I dug that.
Uh, I think I liked it.
Yeah, where it was the two different Harley Quinns.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, 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 yeah.
like one was really evil and stuff like that, and the other one was like more sympathetic and was more on his side and everything.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's basically just more of that. And you know what? If Sean Murphy can give me 12 issues or 10 issues or whatever it is of this stuff every single year, I'm good. I'm happy with that because he's really, he's telling a really interesting out of continuity Batman story in here, and it's a lot of fun. And if you've ever read Sean Murphy's stuff, Joe the Barbarian, which he teamed up with Grant Morrison for that, Punk Rock Jesus, which I love Punk Rock Jesus.
I need to read that again too.
God, Punk Rock Jesus is so good. It was originally supposed to be in color, by the way.
Oh, it was.
Yeah, but was it Vertigo that published that?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, but last minute, Vertigo pulled the plug on the color thing. They're like, nope, we're not going to do this in color. It'll be cheaper in black and white. So,
Why were they not convinced it was going to sell?
I forgot what was the reasoning behind it, but he's talked about it before. But originally, Punk Rock Jesus was supposed to be a book in color, but it ended up just being black and white. And Sean Murphy later on, he was disappointed at first, but then he's like, you know what, this kind of lends to the whole punk rock aesthetic of it.
Yeah, I was going to say I like it in black and white.
Right, that it's in black and white, and like if you remember, I think it was printed originally when it was coming out on newspaper paper, like the old school type of paper.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's doing good stuff, man, and I think he's one of the more interesting writers and artists out there right now.
Yeah. Here's a question for you: are you reading Paper Girls?
No, I love that's Cliff Chang, right? That's doing the art, and Brian K. Vaughan.
Yeah.
I love Cliff Chang's art. It's on my to read list. It's good. From what I've heard, it's good. I know, Jess, you really liked it.
Yeah, I really like the first volume. I haven't read the second volume yet.
I know you were a big fan of it. You were pushing for it really hard. What
I,
was there was a Vaughn book you didn't like though?
a Vaughn book I didn't like.
Yeah.
I don't. I didn't dislike it. I just didn't love it. I think We Stand on Guard.
Right, where it's like the Canadians have mechs and stuff like that. It was
Yeah,
a
I just
book.
wasn't wild about it. I just,
Yeah.
I think I'm kind of spoiled when it comes to Brian K. Vaughan, and if I didn't flip out over it, I just, it was just okay. But I think Paper Girls is really good. I actually am kind of chastising myself. I'm way behind on my Image hardcovers. I haven't read Paper Girls Volume 2. I haven't read Saga Volume 3. I haven't read um, uh, Wayward Volume 3 either. So
Mm-hmm.
I need to get my act together. Now that I feel better this week, I can get my act together and start reading a lot more.
I'm happy you feel better.
Oh, well, thank you. That was wretched.
Oh, I'm caught up. Cycle Cleveland. I'm all caught up on Saga.
Oh, yeah, you got your life put on hold by that somehow.
Oh, Saga was rough, man. Saga it gets rough towards and you know what? It's not even the issue that everybody's raving about. The issue before the hiatus. It was the volume, the arc before that, which just hit me so personally. I was like, God damn, it really stung. Like that was a really hard volume to read, but it's good.
Wow. I'm kind of scared.
Yeah,
You got me scared to read it, man.
I don't. Well, I don't want to ruin it, but you're very well aware of everything that's been going on the past few years of my life. So yeah, you'll know. You'll know when you get to it.
All right.
You'll know. What else you got there?
My last book is also by uh, co-written by Jay Ferber. Let's see. Story edits by Jay Ferber. Story by Brian Joins. This is another book that Kyle sent me, and it's actually a conspiracy book, and I generally don't like conspiracies. It's called,
Oh,
but it's a superhero conspiracy, and here I am ranting about superheroes. It's called Secret Identities, and the idea is that uh, there's a group of superheroes, um, and right from the beginning, they get a new recruit, and you know from the beginning that he's been sent to infiltrate them and bring them down, and he's reporting back to somebody else who hired him to infiltrate them and bring them down. So you know from the beginning you're watching something bad unfold. And I hate conspiracy stuff like that. I don't know why, but I really hate that. But in this book, it really actually works pretty well. Um,
I don't.
the
Not a fan of Alex Jones, Jess.
I don't know who that is. Alex
Oh,
Jones.
yeah, just
I've heard him on the Howard Stern show. They have a funny. Is he the Infowars guy?
yeah. He's the nut job.
Okay, yeah, I only know him because of Howard Stern. Um, um, the art they have. One thing they do here. I'll just show some of the art here. One thing they do have is they have really good art, and what they have um, is very interesting superheroes with interesting power sets,
Huh.
and and they've got really cool, very cool kind of enemies that they need to fight, and um, they've but it's almost secondary to what they've got going on, of course, with this kid that's been sent in to rat them out, bring them down, and report back. And you don't find out until the very end, of course, why he has been sent in to do it and who's behind it all. But one of the guys um, that is who's called Recluse. That's him right here. He's like a recluse spider. He has to eat like a living heart to sustain himself. He gets all old and withered until he eats a heart of somebody who's about to die, and
Oh
then
my
it
god,
regenerates him. So it's really cool, and
man.
that's why he his uniform makes him look like a here's his uniform. It makes him look like a spider, like a recluse spider.
Oh
So
man.
it's really nasty. It's really cool.
I'm the
um,
same way. I'm the same way with hoagies. I need at least a hoagie a day.
I should have known you were going to try and work hoagies into this. um, so there's all kinds of interesting natural disasters and interesting, it's a I guess Omar would call it a smart comic because there's really interesting. Um, uh, it's really it's got some really cool enemies and power sets, as I said, that are interesting. They got like a human lava guy that's basically like right here. He's like basically molten lava in human form,
Mm,
and he's thousands of years old, um, and uh, he has all kinds of history. There he is in his cool down state. He's got all kinds of history that he has to deal with because he's been so many different people throughout history um, in this state, and it turns out he was some not so nice people in history.
hmm.
Like possibly a Nazi and stuff like that. So it deals with a lot of interesting issues and a lot of interesting aliens. And I dug this book. This was another book that Kyle sent me, and I the instead of the Justice League, they're called the Frontline, and there's all kinds of secrets that are uncovered that they're hiding from each other and stuff that this kid Crosswind uncovers. So I liked it, and it wasn't. It's cheap, $15, and I'm sure you can get it cheaper at in stock trades or something. And it's pretty thick, volumes 1 through 7. And so yeah, I really dug it. Secret Identities.
Okay, cool.
So
That
I
sounds
would
like
I would recommend it. Yeah.
that sounds like a blast, man. I'll have to check that
Yeah,
out.
it's different. It's a different take on capes, which I like.
I'll have to put that on the reading list.
Yeah.
My next pick, I'm gonna go with Black Hammer 45, 1945. Or is it 44? 45, something like that.
Is that
Uh,
a single issue?
no, it's a miniseries in the Black Hammer universe running right now.
Oh, okay, because it hasn't been collected, so I don't know what you're talking about.
No, not yet. It's 5 issues in. It's
Oh,
yeah, Jeff Lemire, art by Matt Kent. Which Matt Kent, he's not really an artist that I really take to his style too much, but it's Jeff Lemire, so man, it's Black
yeah,
Hammer, so I'm gonna
yeah,
give it a shot anyway. Centering around a group of people in World War II called the Black Hammers, I believe. I read this a few nights ago, so I'm a little sketchy on it right now, but centering on a group of people called the Black Hammers, and it's kind of like the Tuskegee Airmen. If you know anything about the Tuskegee Airmen, they were a
yeah.
group of African Americans in the 19. Oh man, I don't want to botch this up, but I think it was World War II,
It was.
if I'm not mistaken. Correct me on
You
that.
are correct. World War II.
And they were a group of African American men that they flew in planes in World War II, and the stuff they had was they had basically the planes that they had. Snoopy had a better plane
His doghouse.
on his doghouse than the stuff that they were flying in the 1940s. But it's centering around this group of people called the Black Hammers, and they are fighting in World War II, and they handle more supernatural stuff. And it's a group of all minorities in it.
Ooh.
It's good. It's really, really, really good. There's 5 issues right now. I've read 3 issues of it so far. it goes really weird places, but it's really good, Jess. And it's all, I mean, it's all set in the Black Hammer universe, so you're gonna see, you know, your little tie-ins and stuff like that, and how that works in. But it's fantastic. Everything that Jeff, you know, I keep harping on this, and you do too. But everything that Jeff Lemire is touching right now is gold. He's got the Midas touch for some reason right now.
Solid gold.
It's and it's crazy because, you know, nothing against Snyder or anything like that, but a few years ago, if you remember, everybody was raving about Snyder because Snyder and Capullo and Snyder and Lemire, they came into the industry around the same time.
Yeah.
They broke in around the same time, and everybody's like, "Wow, Snyder's this like hot new young writer, and he's really crushing it on everything." And I think Snyder is still a great writer. I'm not taking anything away from him, but I think that's kind of cooled a little bit in the past few years. And Jeff Lemire is just everything is gold right now.
Yeah, I totally agree. I can't wait to get. It sounds like a malt liquor, Black Hammer 45, but I can't wait to see it collected. It's. I mean, you're right. Everything he writes is great. This whole Black Hammer universe is amazing.
Yeah, it's his Hellboy. Like
Yeah,
this really this really is his Hellboy, man.
Good analogy.
Where everything he's putting out, you know, with all the spin-off series, and you know, he's got the main Black Hammer series proper. It's impressive. It's very impressive.
Yeah, yeah. I'm excited for this now. Yeah, I'm really excited.
I think you'll dig it. You'll like it.
Is it 5 issues total, or is there more to come?
I believe it's just the 5 issues.
5 issues, okay.
Yeah, because, you know, he's just doing those little mini series, and then he'll do like 6, 7 issues in the Black Hammer main universe, and then he'll do another mini series like what he did with Dr. Star.
Yeah.
Did you end up reading Dr. Star?
Oh yeah.
Beautiful.
Loved it. Loved
Beautiful.
it.
Oh man, the ending. Oh my goodness, it's a beautiful story.
Yeah, those are the kind of books that I'm hanging on to because they're so good to reread. I love those kind of books. I am extremely excited about that whole Lemire verse, that Hammer verse. It's really cool.
The Hammer verse. I like that.
Yeah, the Hammer verse. All right. Well, thanks for joining me on this episode of whatever this was. OmniDog does a review. I appreciate it. This is I had a lot of fun with you, and thank you to the chat and to all the viewers out there. This was fun.
Oh, thanks for
doing a live review. This was good. I think it's better than just my sitting in this room and just saying this is the book I read and it was good. I think it's more fun having people join in and talk about all the books that they've read and get their responses to what we've read and stuff. So I like doing the live review type of thing. So I appreciate your joining, Lou. Thank you.
Thank you for having me, man.
So thank you to the chat. Thank you to the viewers. And you can, of course, see me on this channel, OmniDog's Vault on YouTube, and OmniDogs_Vault on Instagram. And you can catch me on also on the OmniBros Live channel, where we talk about comic books. That's pretty much all I ever talk about, except when I'm talking about horror movies with my host, Jenny. We missed yesterday, but we're going to catch up next week.
I really like that show, man. I was disappointed. No review yesterday from the horror show.
No, I was sick and she had to work. So thank you. I appreciate the fact that you watched that.
I do.
Yeah, because we watch a lot of stuff that you recommend.
I hope you guys enjoy What We Do in the Shadows.
She watched it, and I need to watch it this week. So that may be when we review. But yeah, we definitely watch what you suggest all the time.
Thank you.
Oh, yeah. So everybody out there, thank you for watching, and thank you for please feel free to subscribe, leave a comment, hit the bell for notifications, and peace and love. Peace and love. Thank
Go
you
to
very much.
go to Comics Guide 101 on YouTube.
Oh,
New
yeah,
video.
sorry. Where can
You're
they
fine.
find you, Lou?
You're fine, man.
No, where
Comics
can they
Guide
find you?
Comics Guide 101 on YouTube. New videos Monday through Friday. I've already got the schedule posted up for this week, and I've already got one of the videos for tomorrow already uploaded. So it's going up tomorrow at 3 o'clock.
Wow. Monday through Friday.
Monday through Friday.
Okay. All right, everybody. Thank you.
All right.